The fact that we had 7 exhibitions which were very, very different. Very different concepts, very different ideas. And how to give the same types of marks, how to mark them in the same scheme. We had obviously the same criteria which the students were aware of, that they're going to be assessed against.
Just quickly, actually, it's been lovely to see some of the visual creativity of student works. I mean, Suzanne's is a good example, but there are some other lovely ones where, you know, students have done kind of spoof magazine covers, and, you know, been very creative in how they thought about design. So there was a sort of sense of play and playfulness about it, which, you know, hopefully it was fun, not just because you could choose your own topics, but because you could play around. It wasn't just a Word document in 12-point font Helvetica or whatever, double spaced. It was, you know, people were playing around embedding images. And
reading through all of the projects and looking at all the projects, it's rewarding to see where people have taken it. These kinds of projects that you're doing are like, you know, quite innovative, and I think that's really exciting to see, like, learning ourselves from the students about some of the possibilities that they've managed to kind of create by bringing these methods together in relation to their own field site.
And we had some amazing, I mean, things that you think, oh goodness, how did they do that? But at the beginning of the course, when they also were historians, we don't know how to do this. The work that they produce at the end is just incredible. I'm always amazed.
I think that diversity is a benefit in many ways. You know, it's brilliant for us to see, and it's much more interesting than reading 40 or 35 essays essentially on the same or very similar things.
I've noticed over the years that all the vlogs that have been made, they're really impressive. I've really enjoyed looking at them and always been really impressed.
You know you want to do certain things, but I don't think until you've actually used my portfolio and used the technology, I think you kind of dream a bit. You expect to do things a lot better than how you actually do them.
I guess that's because for me, I'm not very good at, you know, that whole visual arrangement. I've learned a bit more from this challenge, but initially, so my initial individual video was not as good as this because I can't, you know, I hadn't learned as much.
Without being a programmer, there was, you know, there were things I would have presented slightly differently in terms of the actual design annoyed me, but that was a good example of actually where I sort of got to the point and thought, okay, you know, forget style over substance and put more substance into it, even if it's a little bit clunky in places.
The websites that worked best were the ones that had a clear statement at the beginning, so you knew exactly what it was that what the intention was, and also had a conclusion at the end, almost like an essay, and then had cleverly thought out inserts in there, things that answered a question that would have required an awful lot of words.
Look at this conceptually. Does it work? Does it make sense? How easy is it to navigate? So that is then the first thing that you can assess. Also, does it actually, on a quite a subjective level, and you have to be conscious of that as an assessor, that this is really one person looking at this, and this is why we triple mark it, why there's the 3 people marking it and then having a discussion about the marking because of that, because we had 3 different people coming at this from slightly different angles. But still, the overall, do we get it? You know, does it make sense? Does it flow logically?
Obviously, they have to be audible. You know, they have to kind of again meet the themes and so on. So there's pretty good consensus about what works and what doesn't, and obviously the basics like being audible, delivered clearly. You know, not too fast, not too slow. That's quite clear.
Because I think if you give choice there, and somebody presents a PowerPoint and somebody presents through Prezi, the tutor might get carried away and assign more marks to the person who has done, for example, in this case, a Prezi, without necessarily the student deserving the marks, but the Prezi deserving the marks. You know, so you might get carried away and give more marks to the actual mode rather than to what the student has done in order, rather than to what the content and what the student has done.
However, you could argue that the aim, obviously, to share this knowledge with the audience and the students, if the goal was for them to have a wider understanding of this particular topic and it worked, then surely, I don't know, that can be taken into consideration in a way.
You know, we have to produce very tight rubrics, but within the tight rubrics there are bits which say, you know, you can be as loose as you want here, sort of thing. You be creative within this tight band.
It's like writing a good essay. All your paragraphs have to have a purpose in the essay, and all your different elements of your website have to play together to come together to answer the research question.
We can tell if the video is not actually it's not researched well enough. So we can see that you know, certain videos, they actually have backup of their arguments. That's also very important, and also how they present it.
When you assess something like this, kind of a project-based assignment, that actually has to work as a thing in itself. It's like an artwork or something as well. You know, when the outcome actually has to work, or if it doesn't, then you look at why doesn't it? Where would it work? Or what?
That's, you know, my daily bread. That's what I do all the time. Is, you know, reading through people trying to structure their arguments with varying levels of mastery of English, and so for me that's a quite normal thing.